Wait, I feel like this one's gonna get me banned. I've been banned from YouTube before, and I'm like, this one's gonna get me banned. This little boy is my eldest son, and he has severe autism. He is older than he is in this photo, and I will not say how old he is or what his name is or any of that stuff actually. But anyway, this is my little boy who is severely autistic. Now, I see on the news a lot that vaccines are safe, but people are starting to wake up to the COVID vaccine being not safe because of a lot of Senate hearings and a lot of reports and a lot of committees. It's out there that the COVID vaccine has killed a lot of people. And now the debate is, well, did it save more lives than it killed? But the point is, the COVID vaccine has killed a lot of people. It has affected placentas. It has caused miscarriages. Like, the data is just coming out and coming out and coming out for months now. So we know now, or we have a fact of they released a vaccine without it being properly tested, and it caused a lot of damage and killed a lot of people. I watch this video get banned. I just watch it get banned. Anyway, let's go to Google Chrome now. I am on the National Institute of Health.gov website. This is a United States government website. The childhood vaccine schedule is mandated for your kid to go to public school, and in 20 states, it is absolutely mandatory. There is no religious exemption, there is no personal belief exemption. You basically have to get your kid vaxxed, or they can't go to school. And if they can't go to school, you have to homeschool them. So take your pick. Your kid's either going to get vaxxed, or he's going to have to be homeschooled, and then that'll create its own set of developmental issues. Anywho, I read this really long report, or at least for me it was long, and the text is really tiny and small. But when we get down here, conclusions about stakeholder concerns and conclusions about scientific findings. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but I highlighted the important part. So this is in discussing the childhood vaccine schedule. Now, I'm a millennial. I think I had about 7 vaccines. And now we're up to like 20-something vaccines for my kids, okay? And keep in mind that my first one is severely autistic. The second one, the jury's still out. I think he's autistic as well, personally, but the jury's still out on the second one. So both me and my wife are not autistic, and we have 2 autistic sons. The autism rate right now in America is 1 in 33, right? A couple generations ago, it was 1 in 10,000. Keep in mind, the Amish who don't get vaccinated have 0 autism in their society. 0 in America. Pretty interesting. But you'll hear on the news there's no evidence that, vaccines can cause autism. There's no evidence for that. If we look down here, there's a reason why there's no evidence. And the reason why there's no evidence is that there's been no studies on the subject. And if we look at the actual government website, the National Institute of Health.gov website, which I am now going to read, and watch me get banned from YouTube for life for medical misinformation when I'm just reading out of the NIH's actual website, conclusions about scientific findings. The committee encountered 2 major issues in its review of the findings in the scientific literature. First, the concept of the immunization schedule is not well developed. Most vaccine-related research focuses on the outcome of single immunizations or combinations of vaccines administered at a single visit. Although each new vaccine is evaluated in the context of the overall immunization schedule that existed at the time of review of that vaccine, elements of the schedule are not evaluated once it is adjusted to accommodate a new vaccine. Thus, key elements of the entire schedule, the number, frequency, timing, order, and age and administration of vaccines have not been systematically examined in research studies. So when you hear on the news, there's no evidence. The reason why there's no evidence is that they've literally never done a study on the entire schedule. They have never looked at the cumulative effects of the entire schedule. Now, we know when you're taking medication, any medication, If you're taking like heart medication, they'll ask you, what other medications are you taking? Because a cocktail of the wrong medications can kill you. Lots of people die of things because they do a cocktail of drugs. Oopsie daisy, you can't combine these together. It can cause problems. And now, for the United States of America, the CDC has mandated all of these vaccines where the cumulative effects have not been tested and they admit it. And then you have these doctors going on television being like, well, there's no evidence. And it's like, yeah, but there's also been no studies. There's been no studies, according to the government website that I am on. This is the NIH.gov website. This is not. This is literally straight from the horse's mouth. You can see the highlighted text. It's this part. Thus, key elements of the entire schedule, the number, frequency, timing, order, and age of administration of vaccines have not been systematically examined in research studies. There's no studies on it. I don't understand how this is legal. How is it that we're mandated to give our children a vaccine schedule that has not been researched? They literally can't go to school unless they get 20 or it's 70 something shots by the time they reach 18, okay? And they're getting shots at 2 months old. And the information is so effing misleading. It's so misleading. Let me find something else real quick. Okay, here we go. So a lot of the vaccines use aluminum salt as an adjuvant. And it'll have I read the thing where it was like, okay, there's 4 micrograms of aluminum in the first round that babies get on like day 1 or 2. Or maybe it's month 2. It's either month 2 or day 2. But the point is this, your kid gets injected with like 4 micrograms of aluminum salt. And so you Google, is aluminum in your brain good? And it's like, no, aluminum is not considered beneficial for your brain. While some metals like iron and zinc are essential for brain function, aluminum has no known positive biological role in the human body. In fact, it is considered a non-essential element that is always a burden to life's process. Is aluminum found in autistic brains? The aluminum content of brain tissue in autism was consistently high. Okay, so now this is also from the NIH, where it says, what are the side effects of the aluminum hydroxide adjuvant? In particular, aluminum in adjuvant form carries a risk for autoimmunity, long-term brain inflammation, and associated neurological complications, and may thus have profound and widespread adverse health consequences. So then I go back to, how is this legal? How is this legal? The justification I've seen is like, well, your kid gets way more micrograms of aluminum through breast milk or baby formula. And it's like, yeah, that's when you're eating it. You might be able to eat 20 micrograms of aluminum and just shit it out and be okay. But if you get it injected, it goes into your bloodstream and into your brain. And especially for infants and babies, because they have a different blood-brain barrier than adults do. And so it talks about chronic brain inflammation. So let's look at that. And now we go to which vaccines list encephalitis as a potential side effect. Based on available information, some vaccines have been reported to have a potential, though rare, association with encephalitis. MMR vaccine, that's on the childhood schedule. Influenza vaccine, I actually don't think it's on the childhood schedule. DTaP vaccine definitely is. Hepatitis B vaccine, they gave my kid hepatitis B when he was not even 24 hours old. And I thought it was weird at the time. And the nurse looked at me like I was a psycho, and I was like, isn't that a sexually transmitted disease? And she was like, well, it also can be transmitted by blood in liquid or saliva. And it's like, okay, but no one in my family has hepatitis, and the wife and I don't have hepatitis, and he's not going to be exposed to hepatitis anytime soon. But you're a new parent and you're young and you trust the doctors and you got vaccinated, so they wouldn't just inject something unsafe into your child, right? And then you look at the COVID vaccine and how it's killing a bunch of people, and they injected that into children and old people and adults. And it's like, we just watched them do it, if you don't know what encephalitis is, one sec. What is encephalitis? Keep in mind, this is a listed side effect, and it's also, this is what aluminum can cause this, the adjuvant, we read about that earlier, but it's and then the list of side effects in vaccines also has encephalitis as a potential side effect. So what is encephalitis? Inflammation of the brain, often due to infection. The infection may be bacterial or viral. Now, this isn't us. In some cases, encephalitis may be the result of an immune system disorder. Immune system disorder. So, an allergic reaction, basically. And in closing, brain inflammation and neurotoxicity. Studies suggest that aluminum adjuvants can accumulate in the brain and potentially trigger inflammation and autoimmune reactions, disrupting immune mediated processes and potentially affecting brain development. Aluminum has been shown to induce brain inflammation, and its effects on the nervous system can lead to neurological complications. And what did it say at the what did we talk about at the very beginning of this video? Let's go back. So I was trying to find the NIH page, but when I Googled it, look what the New York Times says. Hey, there is no evidence that the number of vaccines children receive is harmful, she said, and all of the vaccines in the schedule have been rigorously tested for safety. This is why it's super misleading to say this and to list facts, because yes, all the vaccines individually have been tested for safety, but they have not been tested cumulatively for safety. And we know that you can't even take heart medication or dick pills without the doctor knowing what other medications you're on, because you could die. It's pretty crazy to me that when we go to the NIH website, back to the very beginning on the government's NIH.gov website, under conclusions about scientific findings, this is under the child vaccine schedule. It was highlighted at the beginning of the video, but it's still there. Trust me, it's basically on the middle of the page, but it just says, thus, key elements of the entire schedule, the number, frequency, timing, order, and age at administration of vaccines have not been systematically examined in research studies. There are no studies on it. Watch my YouTube channel get banned like it did when COVID came out, and I was like, it's not so bad. I got banned for life. And then a couple years later, they unbanned me because they were like, whoops, our bad, Joe. But watch this one get me banned. And all I did was just read from government websites. Like, literally, just read from government websites and just look around, ask a couple questions, I don't know. I wish I knew what I know now when I first had children, and not, it took me like 8 or 9 years of hardcore research, and really annoying when I hear, people be like, oh, it's safe. And it's like, there's been no studies on it. They don't even say it's safe. They just go, it's safe because there's no evidence. And it's like, you haven't done a single study on it. You don't find what you're not looking for, Anyway, everyone, take it easy. Good luck. God bless.